What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the Fino Flash podcast featuring your homies. Obviously, it's me, Daddy Fino, baby. And of course, I'm here with my co-host, the one and only JT Flash. JT, say what's up to the people.
What's up?
How you doing, JT?
Uh, you know, the NFL preseason started this week.
Yo,
lot of first impressions. I know it's only preseason, but a lot of first impressions.
yeah, I gotta say, I know my boy only played one drive, but Darnold looking nice. He looking nice, my man. I'm saying, what I put? I said 9-7 for the Jets. It's looking good.
He didn't look too bad. Not as good as Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones was technically flawless. So
that's true. I give you that. Daniel Jones looked good. But it is preseason, so I don't want to jump on the bandwagon of both guys. I got to be fair. It was only preseason. Darnold didn't face the other teams' number ones, all of them at least. But hey, gotta give credit was due. Kyler Murray looked good too. I was a little impressed with Kyler. Your boy Haskins didn't look good though.
no, he did not. He did not. Maybe one of our guests was right, but so
Yeah. But today, JT, we're gonna continue our preview special, I guess. You want to call it NFL preview special, where we talk about each division and the rank that we put them as. So today we're talking AFC West. How you feel about the AFC West?
I really think it's a fight between two teams. And probably what I'm going to say is going to make a lot of people mad, but I actually think the Chargers are going to take the division this year.
Whoa.
They could have taken it last year. No disrespect to Pat Mahomes.
Being disrespectful to Pat Mahomes. I'll say no disrespect.
I'm not, because listen, the dude had a record-crushing season. He had a lot of great things happen for him last season. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. The Chiefs obviously have found the quarterback for the future, as it seems. But I think he's getting a little too much love right now. People are wanting to put him up past the likes of players like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers after one good season. Listen, all the NFL teams, especially those in the AFC West, now have a whole year on Patrick Mahomes, and I just got to see him do it again. He had, in my opinion, the best wide receiver last year in terms of stats and what Tyreek Hill could do. Now I know Tyreek Hill isn't the biggest guy, but he also had Travis Kelce and he had Kareem Hunt, who's a top 10 running back when healthy and playing.
Right,
so
right.
He no longer has Kareem Hunt. Tyreek Hill is back at practice, but he's injured. So we'll have to see. I think the Chiefs regress. I still think they make playoffs, but I think I'm going to give the division to the Chargers this year.
Well, I don't see how you can do that, because you talked about what Mahomes has. Let's talk about what Phillip Rivers has. Okay? Phillip Rivers, first off, he's losing his starting running back. Okay? Now, Melvin Gordon is a top 10 running back. He's not top 5. I don't put him top 5. But he's top 10, probably in the lower half. Now, they do have some nice backups with Eckler. And I like Eckler. Eckler stepped in last year when Gordon was out and did fairly well. But it wasn't Melvin Gordon level. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of their offense. Now,
I don't disagree.
And then they still have Keenan Allen, one of the best receivers in the league. He's really underrated. I give you that, but I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what else they really have. And I'm not a big fan of Phillip Rivers. I mean, I know he's a good player. I don't, he has numbers where you can consider him one day a Hall of Famer, but he doesn't have like the wins as far as, the big wins that put him over the top. And I just don't see it. He got embarrassed by the Patriots last year.
Well, I mean, I don't consider getting embarrassed by the Patriots a stain on anyone's career, really, because the Patriots embarrass a lot of teams.
True. But when you have, they were what, 13?
They had one of the best records in the NFL last year.
Yeah, they were a Super Bowl contender. A lot of people had them in the Super Bowl. There were people, like a good number. I wouldn't say a lot, but there was a good number of people.
Here's my thing. When you say they don't really have a lot of receivers besides Keenan Allen. I mean, they have Mike Williams. They have, they don't have top-tier talent past Keenan Allen at the wide receiver position, but Phillip Rivers has done a lot with less talent. I mean, he's had some talent, but there was a few years there between what's his name? He's in he went to Tampa Bay. Vincent Jackson and Antonio Gates. There was years there where Antonio Gates was on the decline. Vincent Jackson was gone, where he did a lot with less than what he has now. Yeah, they lost his running back. But really this defense that they got is pretty good. I think this defense is going to improve off last year if that's possible. And I think they're not going to have the same record as last year. I actually have them winning 10 games. No, I'm sorry, 11 games. And then
that's so. Yeah, I was going to say. So that means you only have the Chiefs getting what, 10 wins?
Yeah, I have the Chiefs as a 10-win team. But I have the Chargers winning 11 games. I have them splitting one with the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs going 10-6, and that's where I see it. For me, Pat Mahomes has got to prove himself again. I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to the numbers he got last year. Just because, like I said, the league now has one full year of tape on the guy, and I don't get me wrong, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, top 5. I don't think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback, like they're putting him up there. I just think, he has a whole season that he's got to prove it. I mean, they're putting him up there above Russell Wilson and Drew Brees and guys like that. So,
well, I think he deserves to.
After 1 year,
look, he won MVP. Russell Wilson never won MVP, and I know Russell Wilson has always been in the conversation for MVP, but he never won it. Pat Mahomes done, and he did it. And I hope we don't lose a fan, because I know one of the biggest Chiefs fans in the world is my boy Tommy. He listens to the show. I know he's disappointed right now. He's probably going to shit on you when this drops out. Okay, but
he's welcome to come on the show and shit on me, because there's a lot of things that Pat Mahomes did last year that if he would have thrown picks doing it or stuff like that, the whole league, every commentator at AOS would have shit on him. I mean, the dude threw across his body several times to completions that, I'm just saying he's not going to get away with some of that stuff in year 2 as a full second-year starter.
I think we have yet to see the best from Pat Mahomes.
Okay. That's okay. And time will tell, If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. I don't think he's going to get near the stats he got last year.
All right, well, what about the rest of the division?
The Raiders are a joke. Let's be real. I don't see them winning more than 6 games. They got Antonio Brown. I don't even know why Antonio Brown would want to go play there. Derek Carr hasn't been good for a couple seasons. So I really don't have a lot to say about that. Then the Denver Broncos, I think they're going to be an average team. I don't have to mention guys like Von Miller, Chris Harris. That they're on the team. They got Joe Flacco now as the quarterback. I would say they win 7 to 8 games.
The Broncos, well, I would say this. Raiders, I actually like the Raiders more than the Broncos. And it's kind of weird. But it's going to really depend on Antonio Brown. We all know he has the foot injury right now. He's got frostbite, apparently. I don't even from a cryogenic thing. I guess he stayed in there long, or he didn't have the right protection or something like that. So we'll see, how quickly he can get back. But if he can get back soon and is able to play most of the season, I like that connection with Derek Carr and him. They already had a nice they played together in the Pro Bowl a couple years ago, I believe. I was watching Hard Knocks, and they talked about how Derek Carr was talking how, him and Antonio Brown already had been connected, and they like playing with each other, and they always talked about playing together, one day, and now it's here. And I think Derek Carr is not a great quarterback, but I think he's a good quarterback. He's on the wrong team. They didn't really have a good team around him. Amari Cooper was inconsistent as far as becoming that number one, which is why I'm sure you had your doubts about him in Dallas. But at the same time, that's going to be a nice little tandem. Plus, they got the running back. They drafted a good running back,
Josh Jacobs.
So I think they're going to be pretty dope.
I mean, here's the thing. I see your point about them having a connection, although it was the Pro Bowl. But, I think you're taking away from the fact that teams are going to double Antonio Brown. I'm not saying Antonio Brown doesn't beat double teams. I'm just saying I don't know how effective at this point, Antonio Brown is a great route runner, probably the best in the league or one of the best. So I think he'll get open. My question is how many times are they going to target Antonio Brown a game, and what they're, because John Gruden's old school. Let's not forget that. I mean, he won a Super Bowl off running the football and defense, and I don't really like the Raiders defense. I didn't like them last year, so
Yeah,
I don't know what you think about their defense, but I don't like it. I don't think.
No, I don't like their defense either. Their defense is the big thing. See, and it's weird because on the Broncos, I like their defense, but I don't like their offense. And so it's kind of, it really just depends on which part of the team do you like more? Do you like the Broncos defense more, or do you like the Raiders offense? And I don't know. I just, for me at least, I trust Derek Carr more than I trust Joe Flacco for the Broncos, and I trust the Raiders wide receivers more than I trust the wide receivers on the Broncos. Now, they also have big problems at running back. I mean, they're not sure who's really going to start. Is it going to be Philip Lindsay? I hope so. I thought Philip Lindsay had a good year last year for his rookie season, but can he step up and become, a really good running back? I'm not sure. I don't know if he's that guy. Now, if he could continue the pace that he's on, then okay, maybe my mind would change on that. But we both know Joe Flacco doesn't do well in the regular season. It's postseason Flacco that we're scared of. He gets to the playoffs, okay, now we got to worry about it. But in the regular season, Flacco doesn't really, scare anybody.
Well, and let's be honest about in terms of the Broncos receiving core is not great, um, by any means. They have a lot of young guys and some older guys, but I mean, Emmanuel Sanders is getting up there. So we'll have to see what he does. I'm not saying Joe Flacco ever had stellar talent in Baltimore at the receiver position. I mean, he played with Steve Smith, Torrey Smith, and Anquan Bolden, in his
Right.
career. But
And they were all at the tail end of their careers.
right, so we'll have to see what he does. Like I said, I think they're also the Broncos are going to win games off defense and running the football this year. Also,
Yeah.
and I just like the Broncos defense better than I like the Raiders defense. Kind of like you said, you like the Raiders offense better than, I just think I just think that I have them at 7 to 8 wins. As their ceiling, I would say that it's more like 7 games.
So you have Chargers at 11. You got
Chiefs at 10.
Chiefs at 10. You got Broncos at 7, 8.
Yeah, 7 or 8 wins, and then I have the Raiders at 6 wins.
So I'm putting Chiefs at 13. I got the Chargers hitting the 10 win mark. I think the Melvin Gordon thing is gonna hurt them. And then plus, I mean, also, they got Bosa who's out for the preseason. He's hurt. So we're not sure, how he's gonna be ready. So I think that's gonna hurt. I'm gonna say 10 wins for them. I got Broncos. I'm gonna have the Broncos and Raiders at 6 wins. It's really a 2-team race. They have 2 teams that have potential to be Super Bowl contenders. That's why I rank this division higher than most divisions. It's just because of that. I mean, I think the Chiefs are gonna run wild, just like they did last year. Mahomes is gonna continue what he did. I don't know if he'll reach the 50 touchdown mark, but when you got Tyreek Hill, you got Kelsey, they got Damian Williams, who actually played really well once Kareem Hunt was out. And now he has some games under his belt. He'll have a full season ahead of him. I don't know if he's not Kareem Hunt, but he has potential to be at least really close to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then so that Chiefs. I got Chiefs winning. So let me ask you this real quick. Do you see any of these? Do you agree with me that any of these teams are Super Bowl contenders? Like, do you see the Chargers as contenders?
Yes, but I think you could say both the Chiefs and the Chargers are Super Bowl contenders. I can tell you right now, I don't have either one of them in the Super Bowl, and I'll save that prediction for later. But yeah, I mean, look at what the Chiefs did last year. Like I said, I'm not knocking on them. They had an impressive season last year, a far more impressive season than I think anybody wanted to give them credit for at this time last year. So I think they have a solid team. Their defense has some questions, but they got through it last year because they scored a lot of points. But of course, and the Chargers, the same thing. They played well. I didn't think that they were going to have the record they had last year. They did lose the running back, which does hurt. But I think they'll be okay. I don't think you're crazy for saying that. No.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to see if we were on the same page for once on something. So that's good to know, because I'm not gonna say what I predict will happen, but I really like this Chiefs team. Let's just say that. So, all right. So we got through our AFC West preview. It was short because
I got something to say. I gotta stop you. I've been listening to this all week since the list came out. We gotta talk about this NFL top 100 players list, man.
Okay.
I gotta say.
I didn't know we were going to talk about that. All right, cool. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm
Okay.
sure everybody's seeing the list right now, and I got a lot of flack about the last episode from some people, some Cowboys fans, because I was too hard on the Cowboys in our NFC's preview.
You were.
And I don't think I was too hard on them. I think I was realistic, and I think a lot of what I said was spot on. And in fact, I didn't even get to say a lot of what I wanted to say, and that might come out in a little JT Flash throwing it down for y'all coming soon. But I gotta
Wait,
talk about
real quick. I
yeah.
just want to say that I got disrespected last week. You know, people called me a Cowboy fan. That was the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I mean,
I felt like Kevin Durant when Draymond Green called him a bitch.
well, you were you pandered to the Cowboys fans, I think, and I was trying to be a Cowboys fan, a non-biased Cowboys fan, but I gotta have my bias come out a little bit here because
All right, go ahead.
I'm a little upset on this 100 list.
All right,
Now,
what are you upset about? I thought it was a good list.
Dak Prescott should be somewhere on this top 100 list. Should he be top 25? No. Should he be top 50? No. Should he even be top 75? No. But I think somewhere from 76 to 100, Dak Prescott should be in there. I'm just looking at this list from 91 to 100, and I would take Dak Prescott over all of these guys. Maybe no. Well, I'm sorry. Carson Wentz is on here. So I'll give credit where credit is due, but I would take Dak Prescott over most of these other guys. I mean, I know the players voted, and I'm not. I saw the Undisputed episode with Skip Bayless and Shannon. I'm not using Skip's argument that he's the most valuable or whatever. I'm just saying what he's done in his career. I just think he is better than what these players are giving him credit for.
All right, so real quick, let's give people, who are in those 91 to 100.
Okay.
So you got Andrew Whitworth from the Rams at a tackle. He's a tackle position. Jarrell Casey, defensive tackle from Tennessee. You got T.J. Watt, linebacker from Pittsburgh Steelers. You got Mitchell Schwartz. He's a tackle from, I think that's the Chiefs. I can't see. Kyle Fuller, cornerback from the Bears. Carson Wentz, quarterback from Philly. Byron Jones from Dallas, cornerback. We got Tyler Lockett, wide receiver from the Seattle Seahawks. Derrick Henry from the Titans, running back. And Eric Weddle, the safety from the Chargers. No, I'm sorry, for the Ravens.
He's on the Rams now, but yeah.
Oh, Rams. Sorry. Was he on the Ravens last year? I think it was last year he was on the Ravens. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, like I said, other than Carson Wentz, I don't see how any of these guys are a better choice than Dak Prescott, considering what Dak Prescott has done. I know everyone's going to say Dak Prescott looked terrible last year until they got Amari Cooper. But when the game was on the line and the ball's in Dak Prescott's hands last year, Dak Prescott delivered. Dak Prescott won them the game in Seattle, not Zeke Elliott in the playoffs. I think, people are straight hating on Dak Prescott. So, like I said, he's not a top 75 player. I wouldn't put him in top 75, but I would definitely put him somewhere between 76 and 100. I sure as hell think he deserves to be on here more than Derrick Henry. So
I would say that I was looking at Derrick Henry in the last 10. I would put him above Derrick Henry too. But everybody else, I mean, I love T.J. Watt. He's a great linebacker. I really wanted to just to draft him that year. I was hoping and praying we did, but he didn't fall to us. It was sad, but it's okay. I would say this. I do agree that Dak Prescott should be in the top 100, but I understand why he isn't. I said it last time that Dak Prescott is basically he's a game manager. He's like an upgraded game manager. However, I think that he does enough to lead the team to get to the point where they can win games. He had the most comeback wins in the last 3 years, right? Is it the last 3 years?
His
Like his
last
first
3
season?
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
from his rookie season to now. Yeah.
So, I mean, to do that, I think you got to have some skill at quarterback. You just don't do that. Not everyone can do that. His QBR is always high. It's definitely after his rookie season, he was going to be the best in QBR if for that last game. I really think that he should be on this list, but people think that he's carried by his other players. They have a great O-line. They got Zeke Elliott, who's, one of the best running backs in the league. They think this team goes as far as Zeke takes them. And that's why our records, well, at least my record showed that for them this season. Zeke is healthy. They're going to win. I think I said, 10 games?
Yeah.
So that it all requires Zeke Elliott to be there. And because of that, they feel that Dak is not, just a quarterback that can make everyone better. What he is just someone you plug in and he'll just make the right plays. He won't turn the ball over. He'll make the right plays, but he won't be the reason, that you are a top team. It's going to be all your other pieces, the defense, the line, Zeke.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. I don't think that you could just plug in somebody else and replicate their result. If they would have just plugged in somebody else in the Seattle playoff game, they would have lost. So
no, I agree, but I'm saying I think that's why they're not putting him in that list. Is what I'm. Plus, I think that everyone, obviously, this list is saying they believe Carson Wentz is better. So if Carson Wentz is at 96, well, then it's understandable why Dak is not in this list if Carson Wentz is 96. Because they're thinking Carson Wentz is way better than Dak Prescott.
He fell 93 spots this year. Old, what's Shannon Sharp call him? Walking to, yeah. Walking to him fell a lot. He got paid. He fell, so we'll have to see.
That was due to injury.
Yeah.
I think that he still had a good year last year. It's just he wasn't fully healthy. I think if he was fully healthy, he's top 10. He was number 3 last year.
Yep.
So I don't see, if anything, he probably would have fell to maybe the top 20 or something. But he would still be a top quarterback. I think that's why. But who else? Is there anyone else that you have problems?
Listen, I'll be honest. I think Zeke Elliott should be higher than. I think he's 16. I think he should be higher than that. Again, that might be biased.
18.
He's 18?
He's 18.
Oh, wow. They disrespected him. Yeah, I think he should be higher.
Shoot. Saquon Barkley should be higher. They got Saquon Barkley at 16. They got Alvin Kamara above him. That's crazy.
Well, listen, I like Saquon Barkley.
They got Gurley above. Oh, my God.
Saquon Barkley, I've said it. I think we've all said it at one point. But as a Cowboys fan, I'd just like to be on the record. I said it, that Saquon Barkley will probably lead the league in rushing this year. But people don't realize Zeke Elliott would have led the league in rushing the last 3 years had he been able to play his second year. I just think he should be in the top 10, not necessarily at the top, not at the top of the top 10, but like 10, 9, or 8. Because I do think there are 7 other players better than. I mean, they put Von Miller at 10, and I like Von Miller, but I think Zeke Elliott is better at this point in his career than Von Miller.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think Von Miller.
Well, let me put it to you this way: if you were going to start a team with them both right now at their point in their career, I'm not taking Von Miller at this point in his career over Zeke Elliott.
I think for the position, I would take Von Miller.
Okay, I think you wildin', but that's all right.
No, just because of that position. That position is one of the most important positions on a team. Running backs, you can fill in. You can't fill in an outside linebacker like Von Miller.
But you can't fill in a running back like Zeke. There's only like him and Saquon Barkley and really I can't name. I mean Todd Gurley, I guess. But outside of that, the talent goes way down. I mean, it drops a little bit. Those
What
guys
I mean,
are like top.
You can't replace him with a single player, but you can replace that offense. Like you can replace the offense that he gives you. I mean, they did it with DeMarco Murray. He basically did the same thing a couple years ago in Dallas. So
okay.
He had 1,600 yards, led the league in rushing.
Yeah, but Zeke does more than DeMarco Murray.
No, I know Zeke is a better player, but what I'm saying, you could still replace that production. Whether it be with one guy, you can replace it with a tandem. You could still do it. You can't replace a linebacker like Von Miller. That's just that's the quarterback, outside linebacker, and I think in the left tackle are your top three positions in the league. You have those three set, you should be a good football team.
Yeah.
You can replace running back. That's why running backs don't get paid as much. That's why Zeke is holding out. That's exactly why. Because running backs only last 3-4 years, and then that's the average. It's 3 years. They have the shortest lifespan in the NFL. So that's why I would pick Von Miller now.
Yep. Okay.
But okay, I do agree with this though. I do agree that him and Saquon should be moved up. Definitely above Kamara, who's at 14. They got Saquon at 16. They got Zeke at 18. So I definitely believe they should jump above him. But I do understand your point. I do agree with you on that. I think Saquon definitely should be top 10. It's kind of disrespectful. He's not. Definitely above Antonio Brown. But that's just me. All right. Well, any other issues you have? I'm gonna just let you vent.
I mean, I like Drew Brees. I like him a lot, but do you really think he should be number 2 on this list? It's hard. He had a great year, but I think his team was really good.
Oh, wow. They have it. Okay. On their website, it's kind of stupid. They have Antonio Brown twice. They don't even have Drew Brees. Yeah, he's number 2. I just see that. That's weird. Is Drew Brees the best quarterback in the league? No. I don't believe Drew Brees is the best, so I would not put him above. I wouldn't put him above Brady. I wouldn't put him above Mahomes. I wouldn't even put him over Aaron Rodgers, although I understand why off of last year you would.
I would. I think Aaron Rodgers is – you can't say Aaron Rodgers has done anything to prove he's worth – I don't think he's worth the number 8 spot on your –
Look, 25-2 and you were injured. I'll take that any day. That's a down year.
Yeah, man. But listen, I'm not discrediting what he's done. I'm talking about this game matters, especially for quarterbacks, what you do in the playoffs. And since Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl run, he hasn't done a whole lot in the playoffs. And
but they're going off of year. They're not going off of career. If they're going off career, then Tom Brady's number 1 every year. We're going off of last season.
Okay.
If you're going for last season, yes, his record was 6-9-1. I can't dispute that. But he was hurt. His team was bad. And he still had one of the highest completion percentages of his career. He went 25-2 in the touchdowns to interceptions. And that was a bad year. That's considered a bad year for him. You understand that, JT?
I do, but
that's a bad year, and that's one of the best NFL seasons.
This is okay. We can put him there. This is what I get. frustrated with Aaron Rodgers fans because they just always find an excuse for him. Always.
What's this? Am I making an excuse? Because I'm a fan. What's the excuse?
That he's injured. I mean,
He's not injured.
okay, well, but what has he done since the Super Bowl run that we keep he's made a lot of miraculous throws in the regular season and a few good ones in the postseason that get him past a wild card or a first round. And since then, he hasn't done anything. And people want to put him as the GOAT. I'm tired of it. Bro, I'm telling you right now.
They're putting his talent level as the GOAT. No one has ever had the talent level that Aaron Rodgers has.
Well, I agree, but
no one can make the throws he can, and it's just not even close. His arm talent is the best ever.
I'm not disagreeing, but
he never had a defense. Never had a defense. Nowhere near the defense that Tom Brady has had. It's not even close. Tom Brady's defense is godlike compared to Aaron Rodgers' defense.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers never had the running backs that Brady has.
Okay. Well, Tom Brady, for the tenure of his career, hasn't had the receiving and the receivers that Aaron Rodgers has had ever. Other than Randy Moss.
I will give you that. Talent-wise, you're right. You got with Devontae Allen. I mean, not Devontae Adams. And then what was the white boy?
Jordy Nelson. He had Randall Cobb. He's had Donald Driver, Greg Jennings. He's had a
I agree, and that's why his offense is always in the top 10.
But I'm saying.
But you can't win championships with just an offense. You got to have a run game.
He won a championship. So you're telling me at that point in time he never had those things? Because he had to have either a decent defense or a running back when they beat the Steelers.
He had a decent defense. That was the one time he had a decent defense and he won the Super Bowl. He's had terrible since.
This is what I'm saying. Other quarterbacks and other players don't get this pass that you're giving Aaron Rodgers. I'm being real. Other people don't get that, and people make excuses for him.
Who hasn't gotten that pass?
There's a lot of quarterbacks that haven't got that pass. A lot.
I can't think of any that's as great as Aaron Rodgers, who never had a defense.
There it is right there. There it is right there. As great as Aaron. I understand his talent is good. I'm not disputing his talent. I'm not disputing his football, the way he throws it. I'm not, because you're right. But I get tired of people wanting to put him in the top 5 every year. I don't think he deserves to be in the top 5 quarterbacks if I was rating him this year. I would actually take Russell Wilson over him. Russell Wilson's been and appeared in more Super Bowls than him.
Russell Wilson is as great as Russell Wilson is, right?
Okay.
How many times do people say that it was the Legion of Boom, who was one of the greatest defenses of all time, and Marshawn Lynch were the actual reason why they won won the championship and made the Super Bowl, and should have won the second one had they ran the ball.
But that's not on Wilson. That particular thing is winning the Super Bowl is not on Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was the play call.
I will tell you this: when they won the Super Bowl, didn't they destroy the team they played? The one that they won. That was the defense, was it not?
Okay, it was. But listen, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying Russell Wilson has done more with less lately than Aaron Rodgers has. Russell Wilson carried his team to the playoffs last year and was the only reason that they were even in the game against Dallas. His defense now is pedestrian compared to what the Legion of Boom was. I'm telling you right now, I'm not disagreeing. Aaron Rodgers is not the talent in the quarterback position. He's not more talented of a thrower than Russell Wilson. I'd be crazy to say that. I'm just saying he's produced more than Aaron Rodgers has.
Look, you said he made the playoffs. Russell Wilson made the playoffs. Where do we rank his division? Did we not talk about them as the worst division this year?
That was this year.
Okay. So, they have consistently had the worst division or one of the worst divisions in football.
Okay, but that was we're ranking them based off last year.
Yeah, but in general, just go back in the last couple of years. They've had one of the worst divisions in football. The Cardinals have been trash.
Well, if you're going to be fair, then that division, the NFC North, has been a pretty dog shit division.
Not the last couple of years. You had the Vikings.
You're out of your mind. The tenure of Aaron Rodgers' career at Green Bay, the tenure of Aaron Rodgers' career at Green Bay, the NFC North has not been good.
Look, Detroit has made the playoffs. They've won 10 games several times. The Vikings have won 10 games several times. The Bears they weren't completely trash. They still had a good defense. They've always had a good defense. It's just they never had a quarterback. But I think they probably finally already have, or at least a hint of one. Their division is way tougher than the NFC West. So it's easier.
Now, yes.
But no, I'm saying in the last couple of years.
No, the tenure of Aaron Rodgers' career, the NFC North has not been good. They haven't.
It's better than the NFC West.
Not by much. The tenure of Aaron Rodgers' career, everyone. I mean, most of the time.
Let me ask you this then.
Okay.
You give Aaron Rodgers the Legion of Boom. What happens?
But you can't say that because
I'm just asking. What happened?
He probably won a Super Bowl, but you could say that for a lot of quarterbacks.
Okay. Now you give Aaron Rodgers the Patriots defense. What happens? Super Bowl.
I don't know. I can't say that.
Look, the Patriots defense, every time they've won the Super Bowl, it's always been within 3 points. Though I don't know if every time. It's always been like a short game, a close game. Okay, less than 10 points. Most of the time 3, whether they kick the field goal to win it or something like that. Okay?
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers never had that. He never had the old line that Brady had either. Let's not even question that. There's a reason why Aaron Rodgers always gets hurt.
Oh, man. Dude. Hashtag Aaron Rodgers fans. Okay. This is what I'm saying. You give him the guy outs. I could say the same thing. Give Drew Brees the Legion of Boom. How many Super Bowls does Drew Brees have?
Okay, but Drew Brees had an O-line. He had a running back. Like, this is what I mean.
His whole career, he had a running back. Okay. A decent running back.
Not his whole career. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at least he had one. He had good defenses. Well, Aaron Rodgers never had a top 20 defense probably ever.
Let's be real. If Aaron Rodgers had a running back, the results would still be the same because he'd check out of a run to throw it. So,
well, and I would trust him to throw the ball and complete that pass. I'll tell you that over anybody.
Listen, I'm not. Again, so people don't come at me because I'm not questioning his arm strength, his talent throwing the football. I'm questioning whether or not you can put him in a top 5 quarterback because he hasn't done anything since the Super Bowl run. I think he's overrated. I think I do. Yeah, I don't understand how you can argue that. He's been the favorite to win a lot of games in the playoffs, and he's lost a lot of them.
Okay. All right, Skip. It's okay, Skip. It's okay. It's whatever. I'm moving on because I'm done. I said my points.
Okay.
I don't get it.
You have any other lists you want to?
I do have another list, though, I do want to talk about. Okay? So, a couple days ago, USA Today dropped the all-decade team. The all-decade for the 2010s, first team, second team, and third team. Okay? Now, have you checked out this list, JT?
I haven't. You'll have to fill me in here.
All right. So this is I'm gonna start with the third team, and then I'll work my way up. The all-decade team for the 2010s, okay, is Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, Paul George, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Giannis. Okay.
Okay.
The all-decade team for second team is Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Blake Griffin, and Carmelo Anthony. And then the all-decade first team is Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard. Do you have any thoughts on that?
They have Kobe Bryant on the third team.
Yes. Now remember, this is the 2010s.
They have Dwayne Wade on the third team.
Yes.
I
Lost for words, right?
Yeah. I would at least put the. Where is Russell Westbrook? The second team?
He's on the second team.
And Chris Paul's on the second team?
Yes. With Anthony Davis, Blake Griffin, and Carmelo Anthony.
Man, you go. I need to think about my answer before I.
So, I think my biggest problem is Kawhi Leonard. Well, yeah, that's my biggest problem is Kawhi Leonard. And this is why. Now, Kawhi Leonard is arguably the best player in the world right now. I agree. But this is the last year of the decade. The decade is 10 years. What has he done? Now, he has 2 titles. I give him that. He has 2 finals MVPs. He has 3 All-Stars in the 10 years. And he has 3 All-NBA teams. Okay. For the whole decade, he's averaged 17.7 points, about 6 rebounds, and like under 3 assists. Okay, for his decade so far. I don't see how he can be on the all-decade first team when it was really the tail end of this decade, probably within the last 2 years, that he was even considered to be, at least in my opinion, the last 2 years is when he started to really be considered like the best in the world, or at least in the conversation in the best of the world.
Well, there have been people who said that they thought he was the best player in basketball a few years back, but it wasn't a general consensus. But I think you also aren't putting, throughout his time in the NBA, he's been considered one of the best defenders. But I don't think you should. I don't know. It's hard because he has had a great last couple seasons. I know he was hurt with the injury or whatever.
I don't see how he can make. I also, and then the third team. I have a lot of problems with the third team. I think Wade should be up there higher.
I was getting ready to say that. I think Dwayne Wade should definitely be at least on the second team.
I don't think Giannis should even be on this list on any of the teams. And it's no disrespect to Giannis.
Who are you going to put on there instead, though?
Now, that is the thing. Who would I put instead of Giannis? I'm trying to think. I'll be honest now. I couldn't really think of anyone to put above him. So I'm wondering if they put him there because of default. Because who else can you?
That's kind of disrespectful, man. Just say you put him on there on default because he is good.
You know one that I would probably put? And I would probably put Clay.
I mean, yeah.
Because
well,
Clay is really the only one. I feel like Clay should be up there. And I'm going to tell you why Clay should be. I think Clay should be over there up above LaMarcus Aldridge. I think Aldridge had a great decade. Don't get me wrong. It was pretty good. I wouldn't say great, but it was a really good one. But I just don't see how Aldridge is up there. I don't see how Giannis is up there. Giannis had his 1 year. He had 2 great years of this decade. The other years he showed signs that he could be where he is now, but it wasn't there yet. He was missing a lot. Clay is considered one of the greatest shooters of all time. I have him as the second greatest shooter of all time behind Steph Curry. He has as many titles as Steph Curry. He's one of the best defenders in the NBA and on a consistent basis. I mean, the Splash Brothers have, they pretty much dominated half of the decade.
Well, no one's disagreeing with you. I don't think that Klay Thompson's the second best shooter. I don't think anybody would necessarily disagree with that.
So I just don't see how Giannis jumps him. The only thing Giannis has over him is a MVP.
I have a problem with Paul George being on here, to be honest.
Well, go ahead. Go talk about Paul George, and I'm going to tell you there's another person I have a really big problem with.
No disrespect to Paul George. He's a good player. I don't know who I would put over Paul George, but I mean, Paul George has had some great series with the Pacers in the playoffs. And he played well this last year with the Thunder. I just don't see what he's done to put him on this all-decade list. And maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I feel like that when you said that name, when you compared all these other names, I was like, really, Paul George?
I don't have a big problem with Paul George making it. I really don't. He is really good. He's a really good player. I mean, that's for sure. But the only thing he's really missing, he's a great player on both sides of the ball, offense, defense. Last year he was an MVP candidate. He's now on the Clippers. That's going to be one of the greatest offensive teams of all time, potentially. I understand why he's on this list. He's made Eastern Conference Finals several times, had a really good Indiana team with Lance Stevenson and the boys. So because of that, I understand why he's on the list. The only reason he never played in the finals when he was in the East was really because of LeBron James. But for him to be on the same team as Wade, I think that's where it's a little disrespectful. Wade should be higher. He shouldn't be on equal footing as Wade.
Well,
that's the only problem I have with Paul George.
I'll let you go, I guess, and say what you were going to say, because I have some players that I think that just off the top of my head that I think could be on these teams, not necessarily on what team I put them in, but I think that they should be up here.
Okay.
But I'll let you go.
Kobe. I don't know. I don't think Kobe should be on this list.
I mean, didn't he win a title in 2010?
He won it 2009, 2010. Okay. That was last decade. He didn't win it this decade. And because
2010 would be this decade, but okay.
No, but it counts as the season started in 2009, so it doesn't count as 2010. The way the NBA does it is it's 2009-2010 season. The first season of this decade would be 2010-2011, which is the year the Mavericks won. But anyway, I would say this. I don't believe Kobe should be up there. I think Klay should be over Kobe. Kobe had 2 good years this decade, and then that's when his career died. He got injured. He tore his Achilles and his shoulder issues, all of that. And that was all at the beginning of the decade. And I feel like the only reason he's on this list is because of name factor, not because of what he actually did, because I just don't see why he should be up here. I don't get it.
Saying he's on there because of the legend.
Basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. I don't see why Kobe's on this list. I don't get it. I really don't. Definitely not to have a man like Klay Thompson on it. I mean, Klay Thompson to me is the biggest snub on this list.
Okay. I don't disagree. Names that come to mind, and like again, I don't know where I'd put them, but like Dirk Nowitzki, where's he at? Where's Tim Duncan? I mean, those are just two right off the top that I don't know why they weren't mentioned. I mean, I feel like Tim Duncan's a huge snub.
I
List.
I will tell you why I thought about Duncan, but his numbers dipped his numbers dipped a lot. And I think that's why. He did win the championship in 2014. It wasn't on I don't know if it was on it wasn't him that won. It was the group. Like it wasn't like he led the team to anything. It was, the group of him with Tony and Manu and Kawhi. They still had Danny Green. It was that group as a whole that won that. And I guess that's why.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you think Chris Paul should be on this list?
Yes.
So you're saying you consider Chris Paul a top 10 player in this decade?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I'd go there, but
Chris Paul was one of the best point guards all this entire decade. You look at his teams with the Clippers. Although they never been, won that big one. Let's just not forget that he was still a really great player for most of this decade. It wasn't really to the last 2 years where he started to show his age.
Well,
and he still did pretty good. It's just it wasn't to Chris Paul standards.
I really want to know what they're basing this list off of, because what are they basing it off? Talent? What are they basing it off of?
I don't. I wish I knew,
because I don't know. If they're basing it off talent, I can see where this list is somewhat accurate off talent. If it's off of their career as a whole, I have actually a lot of problems with this list in terms of wins, playoff wins, titles. I have a lot of problems. So I don't know. It's like I said, Anthony Davis, I have a problem with him being on here if it's off of his career the past decade. He's been to two playoff appearances. He's been hurt a lot. I don't see how you could say he's a top 10 player of this decade, a top 10 talent. Sure. But I like I said, I have problems if it's off their career as a whole, or if it's off talent. I would somewhat agree with this list.
I mean, even if it's off talent, okay, I mean, I get that. But, another player that's missing from this list that I think maybe someone would possibly argue me with, you got Dirk. Dirk should, I think Dirk should be on this list, or at least I hope he's if he's not on the list, he better have been one of the people they were trying to figure out, should we take him off or not? He better be the next.
I would put him on there instead of Blake Griffin, but that's
no. I think Blake had a great decade. His numbers, I agree with Blake being up there, but another name is Dwight Howard. I think Dwight Howard I would put Dwight Howard over LaMarcus Aldridge, and is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, I think he was 3 times. He was on all defensive teams several times. I don't want to say 3 or 4 times. 5-time All-Star. One of the best defensive centers of all time. I mean, people forget how dominant Dwight Howard was. Yeah, I just don't get it.
He was dominant on the Magic. I wouldn't say after the Magic he was dominant. He was still good. But, yeah, I mean, he could be up here. I could see it.
I mean, it was over that. I mean, I would even say this, and I don't think he should be on the list. But over LaMarcus Aldridge, I would put Draymond. I don't think Draymond should be on the list. But if I had to, I would say I would take Draymond over LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that have had good.
I'd take Boogie over DeMarcus Aldridge.
I mean, would you take Al Horford over Aldridge?
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
I,
I think Chris Bosh.
what about Kevin Love over Aldridge?
No,
Okay.
no, I wouldn't take Kevin Love.
I'm thinking of.
I say definitely Chris Bosh.
Okay.
You know,
I'm just
there's a
trying to
lot
think of
I
other.
think the biggest. I mean, I take Damian Lillard over him. They were teammates, and Damian Lillard was obviously the man.
I don't know. Would you have taken Dame Lillard over him had he not made that shot?
No, I would take Damian Lillard over Aldridge before the shot, after the shot, if the
Okay.
shot happened. It's not. I'm not, and this is no disrespect to Aldridge. I like Aldridge as a player, but for an all-decade team, that means he was a top 15 player this decade, this past decade. There's no way. There's just absolutely no way he was a top 15 player. Everyone else, I can make an argument for, and Kobe besides Kobe.
Well, this is what I'm going to say about your.
And like I said, I don't put Giannis in there. I'm sorry, I don't put Giannis in this. He's going to be in the next one for sure. All NBA decade first team next decade, but not this past decade. No.
Let me make my point about Kobe and Dwayne Wade being on the third team.
Okay, go ahead.
In this decade, okay, okay, you said Kobe's doesn't count, but I'm gonna count it just to make my point. They have 3 rings combined in 10 years, which is more than it matches LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Curry's ring total on the first team, and it's more than anyone on the second team. So I don't really have a problem with them. I don't have a problem with Kobe being on the third team, even though really he only played like 3 years of this decade because he was basically hurt after that. 2010. I mean, when did he hurt his Achilles?
He hurt his Achilles in 2013.
Yeah, so really he only played 3 years into this decade. So if you want to knock him off, I would say sure, but he did win a championship in 2010, whether or not it counts 2009. But I mean, Dwayne Wade should at least be on the second team.
Yeah, Wade should be on the second team. Look, I would say this. Kobe had 3 years. I would say 3. He played 6 years in this decade, but 3 years was where he was Kobe. The other 3 years were one of the worst 3 years of his career.
That's what I meant. I wasn't counting his terrible years where he was fighting injury.
Right. No, I know what I get it. And if that's the case, if they're saying, all right, it seems that 2 years, as long as you had 2 great years, you can make this list. Because that's why they have Giannis up there. That's what they're saying to me. So if that's the case, if they're telling me, all right, if you have 2 dominant great years, like, where you're MVP candidate or you win MVP or you're on an all NBA first team, if that's what their thing is, because they never said what it qualifies you to be on this list. But if that's what they're saying, then I'll give you Kobe. Then I'm fine with that, with Kobe being up there, because Kobe did have 3 dominant years. I'll say that. But if they're not counting that, if they're just counting off what you've done for the whole, if you put all 10 years together or your whole time in this decade, what you've done, then Giannis doesn't belong up here, nor does Kobe. Even though Kobe's 3 years were really great, don't get me wrong, there was still 7 other years. Well, and 3 of those years that you played, you were terrible.
You could say that for a lot of players on this list, though. Anthony Davis,
Davis never had a terrible year. He just got hurt.
Uh, Aldridge, you could say that for Aldridge.
Aldridge, no, I agree. I don't think Aldridge should be on the list anyway, no matter what qualifies. Whatever qualifications put you on this list, Aldridge don't make it either way.
I'm not trying to disrespect on the man's career. I know he's been on TV a lot, but I mean, after Melo's 2 good years with the Knicks, he had 2 good years.
Don't be disrespectful.
I'm being real. After those 2 seasons, he fell off.
Hold on, because no, you're not gonna do this.
Okay, you can look it up. I don't even need to look that up to know that.
I'm looking at it right now. Hold on, because you're not gonna be disrespectful. Carmelo Anthony this decade.
He had 2 good years with the Knicks.
This is from the 2010. All right, you know what? If you want to, do you want to include 2009, 2010? Because you included that with Kobe.
That's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
This is his numbers. This is what he's averaged, okay? 28 points, 26 points, 25 points, 26, 23, 29, 27, 24, 21, 22. Like, what?
Okay.
What?
But what's his – okay, again, are we going off talent or – because what else – he might have had those numbers.
He besides any championships, he's dominated this decade. Not like as the number one dominator or anything. I'm not saying that. But just as an individual, his stats, he's dominated.
But that's what I'm asking. Is this league off of individual stats, or are they doing a collaborative of what they accomplished in their career?
No, I'm not. I don't think it's for the career, but I think it's a collaborative for what you did this decade.
Okay.
And if they're doing it of this decade, besides championships, that's the only thing that has not accomplished was championships. Okay. The only thing he's never gotten. He's dominated this decade. Everything else.
Okay. I would say he's had 2 good seasons where he dominated.
When you see 2 good seasons, I just count. This is from 2009, 2010.
Because you say dominated, like he was leading the league.
When you're averaging over 25 for a decade, you're dominating.
How many scoring titles did he get?
He has 1 scoring title, but you're acting like 29 points is not fucking high.
I'm not. No, it is.
Someone scored 30.
But you're saying dominant, like was dominant up there for the scoring title every year. He won it once.
He was.
Okay.
He was in contention for it every year almost.
Okay. Listen.
28, 29, 28.
But I'm asking
25.
the question. I'm asking.
What's the original question? I'm sorry.
Is it?
Maybe I missed it.
No. You answered it. I'm stuck. They need to clarify. Is it off of what somebody did over 10 years as an individual on an individual talent, or are they counting what they accomplished in that 10 years?
I think it's both. It has to be both.
Okay. So.
But the thing is, it would have to be both. I would hope that as well. I don't know for sure. I mean, it's not like they said it. But I would assume that it's both. But if it is both, yes, he's accomplished everything besides the championship. That's the only thing he didn't accomplish. He made an all-NBA first team. He's made a second team, the third team. He's made all-star games. And he didn't get an MVP. That's the only 2 things. MVP and a championship is the only thing that Melo never got. But I don't think the only thing Wade's got the championships. But Wade never got an MVP. And Melo's numbers, you can argue, were better than Wade's. It's just that Wade had – but, I mean, to be fair to Wade did have LeBron on his team and Chris Bosh. So, obviously, his numbers are going to come down.
Listen, man, there's problems with this list, I think.
There's definitely problems. I agree. There's a lot of problems with it, and I'm sure we'll get into it more as more information hopefully comes out about it. Maybe whoever wrote this or came up maybe they speak on it.
I want them to tell me why LaMarcus Aldridge is in here.
Yeah, I do. I do want to say that. I do want to know that.
I want to know why they put Giannis in here after 2 years.
Yeah, it's weird. But before we head out of here, let me. Did you hear the David Griffin LeBron James thing?
No, why don't you tell me about that?
Just real quick. Basically, David Griffin, the GM, ex-GM for the Cavs, he had an
Oh,
article on
yeah,
Sports Illustrated.
yeah. Go ahead, keep going. I did hear this. Keep going.
Where LeBron he basically had a miserable time, being the GM with LeBron James, and then said LeBron James didn't have like the will to win after he won the championship and stuff like that. Did you hear it? Well, not did you hear, but what are your thoughts on that? Would you have been miserable if you were David Griffin
Well,
taking
here's
the championship every year?
I think that's kind of crazy to say. I think he was trying to. Well, I mean, he basically did slight LeBron without coming out and just saying it. I think he's crazy. I don't know. Yeah, I have my issues with LeBron, but I think that was kind of a ridiculous comment to say.
Yeah, I think that's gonna light a big fire under LeBron. He did respond and with like fire emojis and all this shit. It was funny. Yeah, I don't know what David Griffin was thinking. I mean, I get it. I guess maybe if he wants to build a team, if he wants to have fun, build a team, go on NBA 2K and do a franchise. That's what I do.
Yeah,
It's fun.
you could build whatever you want
Yeah.
there.
Be happy with what with what you got. When you got LeBron James and you're in the finals every year, I think you can't complain about that. And just one last thing: are these contracts gonna get done for your team, boy?
Um, you know, I've been watching, I've been reading. I think Zeke's will get done. I don't know if the others will get done before the start of the season, but they don't need to. Dak's got, another year to prove himself. I think Dak either has to take the next step with what he has. He has no real excuses this year. His offensive line is supposedly fully healthy. He has a somewhat reputable receiving core. He's in year 4. You know what you are by year 4. So he has no excuses. I think I don't know if Dak's contract gets done, I'll be shocked. Amari Cooper also has some stuff to prove, but I think Zeke's gets done before game 1.
All right,
but there you go.
That's good.
What about you?
Well, I don't think Zeke will get done. I don't think Zeke. I'm leaning towards Zeke not playing the game this year, and I agree with Amari and Dax. I think it's going to take time, probably after the season.
Oh, you don't think Zeke's going to play at all?
I don't think Zeke's playing at all, man.
I don't think he's going to pull Le'Veon. I don't. I really don't.
I don't think he's playing, but we'll see. Hopefully, I'm wrong for you, yeah. And hopefully I'm wrong for me, so I can be right with my pick with everything. But, ladies and gents, we did the AFC West preview. We talked about the top NFL players list, a little bit about the all-decade team for the NBA. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I know I had fun doing it, JT as well. So definitely tune in for our next episode where we preview our next team. And I'll just go ahead and say it, JT. It's going to be the NFC North.
Okay. I can't wait. Yeah.
So it's gonna be dope. We're gonna talk a lot about my boy, the bad man, Aaron Rodgers. So we can't wait to get into that. So JT, you got any last words for the people?
Love you guys.
Your sound is so fake.
No, it's true. I cringe every time I hear that about Aaron Rodgers. So it's okay.
Well, you heard our little spat earlier. It's gonna probably get much bigger next week. So, or next time, I mean. So, I can't wait for that. So anyway, I'm Daddy Fino. He's JT Flash. This is the Daddy Fino Flash podcast, and we out of here. Peace.